People was talking about this Caitlin Clark situation that occurred at the game yesterday, man. Now, I kind of avoided. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it looked like it is, man. A lot of people is talking about it. It's definitely growing legs. We have to address this here on the channel. Now, something else we're going to talk about in this video is not only Caitlin Clark wearing this damn back brace, because that's what we're talking about right now, is her actually calling out Stephanie White during a pregame presser. So I feel like a lot of people kind of missed that presser because of the game, and there was a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to talk about that. But I want to talk about this. Guys, this to me,
Caitlin Clark looked her coach dead in the eyes and changed the hierarchy of the entire organization in one single sentence. The silence in the room was deafening, as the rookie superstar made it clear that she was not there to follow a system, she was there to run the entire show. Raven Johnson stood by, witnessing the power shift in real time, and the look on her face said everything the cameras could not capture. This was not just a pre-game presser. It was a declaration of war against anyone who thought Caitlin would be a secondary option. The showdown had officially begun before the first whistle even blew, and the fallout is already sending massive shock waves through the basketball world.
Doesn't look like a back brace. This, to me, looked like a heating pad. Yes, a heating pad. And somebody in the comments actually caught it. This, to me, is not, it's a heating pad, guys. It's not a back brace. Somebody said, well, it's game one, and they were hard pressing her. It's not a back brace. I'm a Chicago Sky fan. Somebody said, hold on, because somebody definitely caught it. Caitlin Clark talking to Raven Johnson and Sophie on the bench. What?
Everyone was buzzing about the mysterious equipment Caitlin was rocking during her first game, with rumors flying that she was already nursing a major injury. Fans were convinced they saw a bulky back brace hidden under her jersey, sparking fears that her debut season was in jeopardy before it even started. But the truth is actually far more interesting than a simple injury report. A sharp-eyed fan in the comments finally cracked the code, realizing it was not a brace at all, it was a heating pad. A clear sign that Caitlin is pushing her body to the absolute limit, to maintain her dominance. This was not about protection, it was about preparation for the high-octane pace she is about to unleash on her rivals.
Raven Johnson reached it across Caitlin Clark back. Just one embrace hug. So they tried to hug each other? Never, bro. Never. Raven is a little afraid of CC, but once the season started. Wow, bro. I just lost my whole train of thought. This video probably been about something else, but this is good to see. This is good to see right here. I can't even lie, bro. This is good for the culture. This is good for women's sports. And with all that being said, the back brace.
The tension reached a boiling point when Caitlin addressed the media about her role on the court, specifically regarding the off-ball strategy. Coach Stephanie White had been talking about moving Caitlin around, but Caitlin was not having any of it. She fired back with a smile that felt more like a warning than a gesture of kindness. She made it clear that while she can play off the ball to keep the defense guessing, she is the primary ball handler, and that is never going to change. It was a bold move for a rookie to essentially override her veteran coach in public. This power struggle is just the beginning of what promises to be a very complicated season for the coaching staff.
Bro, this is good for the culture. This is good for women's sports. And with all that being said, the back brace thing was a heating pad. Let's listen to Caitlin Clark fire up on Stephanie White with this off-ball, on-ball situation. Let's listen.
Not a ton of nerves. Just like get out there, run around. You know, it's going to be probably a little sloppy here and there for both teams. That's kind of what preseason games are about. You give everybody some run. You figure out what lineups work, what don't. And everybody's just trying to get their footing again, and the same goes for me too. So I think obviously can rely on the USA basketball stuff that I did and that experience of getting back out there and my body feeling good and bring that into today for sure.
How much do you expect to play today? You talked to them about that?
Yeah, like.
Raven Johnson has been watching this entire saga unfold with a mix of awe and pure intimidation. Caitlin revealed that Raven has been coming to her with a mountain of questions, trying to figure out how to navigate this intense professional environment. The pressure of playing alongside a generational talent like Clark is clearly starting to weigh on the younger players. Raven is trying to find her footing, but when you are standing in the shadow of a player who demands the ball at all times, it is easy to feel overwhelmed. The showdown between their playing styles is creating a friction that the team has to resolve quickly, if they want to survive the regular season.
A little bit out of context, like the off-ball stuff, and
Here we go.
you know, like we want to play in transition, and we want to play with a lot of pace. We want to outlet to near guard. You know, if that's not me, I need to get down the court and go. That allows people to come screen for me and get me open. It also makes the other team get cross-matched. You know, they're not able to find their matchups. They want to get matched, especially with me and Kelsey. Like that presents two tough matchup opportunities, and the more I just stand around and wait for the ball, that allows them to get the matchup set that they want. So, yeah, I mean, it pushes me off the ball a little bit, especially in dead ball situations. And you know, I think patience and waiting for screens, and it is tiring. It's hard, you know, dribbling the ball up 94 feet. Like, you know, that's exhausting, and that's why we're going to do it to the other team. We're going to pick up.
The game itself was a whirlwind of emotions, but one specific moment on the bench caught everyone's eye. Caitlin was seen having a very intense exchange with Raven Johnson and Sophie Cunningham that left fans wondering what was really being said. It was a rare case of seeing the raw, unedited dynamics of a team under extreme scrutiny. Some people thought they saw an attempted embrace, while others claimed the tension was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Whatever happened on that bench, it was a clear indicator that the honeymoon phase for this roster is officially over. They are in the trenches now, and the personalities are starting to clash.
And the FIBA organization. Caitlin probably went in there this season. If y'all do not let me be the primary ball handler, I will leave this team. I bet you any amount of money. Look at the smile on Caitlin Clark's face when she said this, bro.
You're going to see a good variation of both, but I mean, like I'm going to be the primary ball handler. That's never going to change.
Let me see you. I know it's still early. You guys have a little bit of time now on preseason gone through, but what, even with the continuity you have with this group, what sticks out about, you know, the new faces of you guys?
Yeah, I think specifically Mo and Mai. Like I think
Caitlin's honesty about the physical toll of the game was another major revelation that left people stunned. She admitted that bringing the ball up the court for 94 feet is absolutely exhausting, but she is ready to inflict that same pain on her opponents. She plans to use her conditioning as a weapon, picking up players full court and making their lives a living nightmare. This aggressive mindset is exactly why she is so polarizing. She is not just playing basketball, she is playing a game of mental and physical attrition. If you cannot keep up with her pace, she will run you right off the floor without a second thought.
that's never going to change.
Let me see you. I know it's still early. You guys have a little bit of time now on preseason gone through, but what, even with the continuity you have with this group, what sticks out about, you know, the new faces of you guys?
Yeah, I think specifically Mo and Mai. Like I think them coming in, I think it allows us to not really have a drop off when AB like needs a breather or something like that. You know, they both play pretty similarly. We want like athletic bigs that. I think what's kind of stood out about both the two of them going through camp is like they understand basketball, they understand the game. You know, we're not out there running a set play like to get somebody open. Like it's an action, and then you're just playing off.
The rookie experience is something Caitlin knows all too well, and she did not hold back when describing how intimidating it can be. She mentioned that for players like Raven, their heads are likely spinning with all the new terminology and high-speed sets. Imagine coming into a system where everything you learned in 4 years of college is suddenly irrelevant. It is a total system shock, and Caitlin is the one leading the charge through the chaos. She is trying to empower her teammates, but she is also setting a standard that is nearly impossible for most humans to meet. It is a sink or swim environment, and the water is rising fast.
Don't overthink, like just go out there and do what you do, and don't do anything that you can't do, and you'll be in a good spot. Hello.
Hi, Caitlin. Thank you for taking the time. Definitely share your pulse. You're returning to a team that made it to the cusp of the finals last season. So, what with your unique skill set, do you want to bring to help this team take that potential final step?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is a very different team than last year. You know, we went through a ton of adversity last year, and I think you have to give a lot of credit for the people that were here and that have returned. and also the people that haven't. Like, they, allowed us to still be a really great team when, we had quite a few injuries, but I think we have to.
One of the most shocking parts of the interview was how Caitlin addressed the media's interpretation of her game. She claimed that her off-ball play was being taken out of context by the press. She explained that moving to the corner is a strategic move to get screens and create cross matches, not a sign that she is stepping back. It was a classic Caitlin move, defending her brilliance while subtly reminding everyone that she is the smartest person in the room. She wants the pace high and the transitions fast, and if the media cannot keep up with the nuance, she is happy to set them straight in front of the cameras. The relationship between Caitlin and the new additions to the team, like Mo and Mai, is also a major talking point. Caitlin spent time with Mo during their USA basketball stint and felt an immediate connection on the court. She described Mo as an athletic big who runs the floor and has great hands, which is exactly the kind of player Caitlin needs to execute her vision. The front office worked hard to bring these specific pieces in, and Caitlin was involved in that process from the start. This team is being built in her image, piece by piece, and the results are going to be either legendary or a total disaster. Despite the intense pressure, Caitlin is trying to keep the team's mindset grounded. She talked about the importance of staying right in the middle, avoiding the extreme highs and the crushing lows of a professional season. It is a veteran perspective from a player who is technically still a newcomer to the league's biggest stage. She knows that one good game does not make them the greatest team in the world, and one bad game does not mean the sky is falling. But with the amount of hype surrounding her every move, staying in the middle is much easier said than done for everyone involved. Raven Johnson's defensive tenacity was highlighted as a key factor for the team's success this year. Caitlin praised Raven for her long arms and her ability to get her hands on the ball, which helped set the tone for the entire defense. However, there is an underlying sense of competition there. Raven is a primary ball handler herself, and finding a way to share that responsibility with a player like Clark is a massive hurdle. You can tell Raven is hungry to prove she belongs, but proving yourself next to the most famous woman in sports is a challenge unlike any other in the history of the game. The terminology hurdle is something that people often overlook when talking about professional transitions. Caitlin mentioned that the rookies only had a week before their first game to learn a completely new language on the court. This leads to a lot of frustration and missed assignments, which we saw glimpses of during the Showdown. Raven has been studying after hours and coming in early just to keep her head above water. It is a grueling process that tests the mental fortitude of even the toughest athletes. The dedication is there, but the clock is ticking, and the competition is not waiting for them to catch up. Caitlin's comments about the championship DNA on the opposing team were also very telling. She recognizes that she is walking into an environment where excellence is the only standard. Playing against New York is a measuring stick for where this team actually stands. She expects both teams to play the first half like a real game, with no holding back. This is not just a preseason exhibition for her, it is a chance to prove that she can dominate the best of the best right now. The intensity she brings to every possession is what makes her so dangerous and so fun to watch. The 20 to 25 minute restriction she mentioned was another interesting tactical choice. It is not about an injury, but about seeing different lineups and giving other players a chance to earn their spot on the roster. Caitlin is looking at the big picture, trying to figure out which combinations of players will work best when the games actually start to count. It shows a level of maturity and leadership that many did not expect her to have this early. She is not just focused on her own stats, she is focused on building a cohesive unit that can survive a long and grueling season. There was a moment where Caitlin mentioned that she read a lot of the media recently, which is always a dangerous game for an athlete. It shows that she is acutely aware of the narratives being built around her. She is listening to the critics and the fans, and she is using that information to fuel her fire. When she fires back at the idea of her playing off ball, she is directly responding to the skeptics who think she can be contained. She is making it clear that nobody dictates her game but herself. That kind of confidence can be inspiring, but it can also create friction with the media. The back brace conspiracy theory really highlights how much fans are overanalyzing every single move Caitlin makes. The fact that a heating pad could cause such a massive stir on social media is proof of the Caitlin Clark effect. Every piece of gear, every facial expression, and every word she says is under a microscope. This level of fame is unprecedented in women's sports, and it is fascinating to see how she navigates it. She seems to take it all in stride, even finding ways to laugh about it. But the pressure must be immense. One wrong move, and the headlines will be relentless. Raven Johnson's questions have been a source of pride for Caitlin, but they also highlight the gap in experience. Caitlin mentioned how she remembers her own rookie year and how overwhelming it felt. By positioning herself as a mentor to Raven, she is taking on a massive responsibility. She is not just the star player, she is the teacher. But in a high-stakes environment like the WNBA, there is very little room for error. If Raven does not adapt quickly, the team's chemistry could suffer. It is a delicate balance between helping a teammate and demanding excellence every single second they are on the court. The strategy of picking up the opposing team's primary ball handler for the full 94 feet is a bold defensive philosophy. Caitlin knows that if she is exhausted from doing it, the other team will be too. It is a strategy designed to create chaos and force turnovers. Playing right into her transition-heavy style, she wants to turn the game into a track meet where her superior conditioning and vision can take over. It is a high-risk, high-reward approach that requires everyone on the floor to be perfectly in sync. If one person misses a rotation, the entire defense collapses. Caitlin also touched on the idea of doing things you cannot do. She warned her teammates not to overthink things and to just play basketball. It sounds simple, but in the heat of a professional game, it is very easy to try and do too much. She wants her teammates to stay within their roles and trust the process. This advice is likely directed at the younger players who are trying to impress the coaches and the fans. By keeping it simple, she believes the team will find its rhythm and start winning games. It is all about confidence and execution under pressure. The front office's role in bringing in players like Mo cannot be understated. Caitlin expressed her gratitude for the work they did in free agency to build this specific roster. She believes that Mo is a good soul who puts the team before herself, which is vital for locker room chemistry. In a league where egos can often get in the way of winning, having players who are willing to sacrifice for the greater good is a major advantage. Caitlin seems very happy with the pieces around her, which should be a scary thought for the rest of the league. As the season progresses, the showdown between Caitlin's vision and the reality of the league will be the main story. She is already challenging the status quo and demanding more from everyone around her. Whether it is her coach, her teammates, or the media, nobody is safe from her candid assessments. She is here to win, and she is going to do it on her own terms. The heating pad, the off-ball comments, and the mentorship of players like Raven are all just small parts of a much larger narrative. We are witnessing the birth of a new era in basketball. Raven Johnson's journey alongside Caitlin will be one of the most interesting subplots to follow. Will she rise to the occasion and become the perfect sidekick? Or will the pressure of the showdown be too much to handle? Caitlin is clearly rooting for her, but she also will not wait for her to catch up. The pace is set, the expectations are sky high, and the world is watching every single move they make. This is the ultimate test of character for a young player, and the results will define the future of the franchise for years to come. In the end, Caitlin Clark proved once again that she is the most compelling figure in sports today. She handles the controversy, the physical toll, and the internal team dynamics with a level of poise that is frankly unbelievable. The showdown with Raven Johnson and the rest of the league is just getting started. And if this first game was any indication, we are in for a wild ride. The ball is in her hands, literally and figuratively, and she has no intention of letting it go. The league has been warned. The era of Caitlin Clark is officially here, and it is going to be loud.